Alright, hello and welcome, and today we are going to make a mod in Project Zomboid. Now this is going to be a very long video, but I am going to cover A to Z on everything from, everything getting that mod all the way up to Steam Workshop and releasing it. So this is going to be a long video. I'm not going to kind of make this very perfect video, so it's probably going to have a little few seconds of pauses here and there, or maybe just some weird things, because that's just going to take a lot of time to make this a perfectly watchable video. So please bear with me on a few parts. It just makes my life easier to get this out for you. Alright, so in order to make the mod, we're gonna think about what we want to release. So I think making a simple drink mod with custom sounds and maybe a special feature is a good all-around use to pretty much show you how to do everything in Project Zomboid with modding, short of actually 3D modeling that stuff. I'm going to make another video on that. So alright, the mod we're going to make today is going to be a Nuka-Cola drink with a custom sound effect, and it's going to be based off of the Fallout Nuka-Colas. So let's go ahead and get started. Now the first thing we want to do is we want to gather images and sounds of this mod. So let's go ahead and bring that up. In here, I'm going to do a simple Google image search of what we're looking for. And a little trick here is, let me refresh this page to start from scratch so you can see how I did it. Alright. Okay, so from here we're going to go to images. We're going to select tools, size, very large. Okay, so we're gonna have a glass bottle sound effects with a pop cap. So we're not going to use a can image, but we're going to use an image of a bottle. And basically, I've been looking around here. I already got it. I just did a quick little test run to verify that I can actually do this mod. So let me show you what I have. Let me bring up that little thing here. Okay, so instead of boring you to death for looking at stuff, here is the image that we're going to use. Maybe we'll update it with a better image later, but this sounds good for now. And then here's the sound effect. I actually got that sound effect from YouTube. I downloaded it from YouTube, and with the downloader that I have, I can actually download it directly to OGG, but I did it to MP3 format, so we can go ahead and use Audacity, and I can show you how to convert from MP3 to OGG. So okay, so we've got our image, we've got our sound. Now the next thing we need to do is start making these folders and get this thing working. So I'm going to go in ongoing projects. I'm going to store the file here because it's an ongoing project. I'm going to name that Nuka-Cola. I'm going to open up another mod just so I can use this as a reference on what folders and files need to be in there. Okay, so we're going to go with media. Let me back up one. I'm going to open this up with code. That way I can create some files. I'm going to put this on my other monitor to refer to later. Alright, so in here we're going to need mod.info. And we're going to create another folder called poster.png. Now obviously we just created a file. It's not an image, but we'll use that there just in case I forget. Alright, so I'm going to open up the old mod with code, and I'm just going to copy this as a template. We're going to paste that in our mod info here. I'm going to name it Nuka-Cola. The poster will be poster. The mod ID numbers or letters are going to be NUK. Okay. Well, not with a custom sound because we're not going to have multiple sounds. Alright, so that looks good to me. Let's go ahead and press Control S to save that. Now this is going to bug me, so let's go ahead and create a poster PNG image real quick. And instead of that nasty looking image, we're just going to grab one from Google. And it's going to be a glass bottle sound effect, so I'm going to try and find a glass version of this. That actually kind of looks pretty good. Okay, so we're going to right click that, open image in new tab. And sometimes you'll have a magnifying glass here. You want to make sure it's as big as possible before you save it. I'm going to hit save as poster.jpg. Okay, so we're going to have to convert that to PNG. As far as posters, I don't think they really matter as far as the extensions, but just to keep things stupid simple, I am going to make it a PNG. And actually, yeah, well, no, we'll just keep this here. We're going to try and resize this. And you know what? Yeah, we'll just keep it as that for now. We can get fancy with it later. I just don't want to waste so much time. Alright, we're going to save it to our desktop as poster.png. I'm going to minimize that, and we're going to drag that guy right into here. So real quick, I'm going to delete that, bring that in. Alright, so that's not too big, not too small, and it looks pretty decent. So we'll call it a day with that for now. Alright, so next thing we want to do is add some stuff to the media folder. So using another mod as a template, I'm going to open this up. I'm going to drag this to a different screen, so you're not going to see it, but I'll use it for a reference. Alright, so media folder is open. We're going to add a file. Actually, no, we're not. We're going to add a folder. I'm going to call it Lua. I'm going to add another folder called scripts. Whoops, that's not supposed to be in Lua. Alright, I'm just going to delete that. It could be a little weird to do it there, so let's just, yeah, see, if you do it in the editor, it could be a little messed up. It's got to be in Lua, so let's just make it stupid simple and do it the old-fashioned way. Now there is custom sound, so we're going to add a sound folder. And we're going to add a texture folder. Now with these folders, you want to name them exactly the same how they appear in the directory here. So if we go to media, we see scripts. There's scripts, sound with sound, textures, and Lua with Lua. So they're exact same. I can't remember if they're case sensitive, but play it safe and just keep it the same. Okay, so we're going to go into scripts, and we're going to create a new file. We're going to call it Nuka-Cola. Alright, so in here we're going to add the script for the Nuka-Cola. So we're going to pull from what we can find that is similar into our mod from, yeah, you get the point. Mine drew a blank there. Alright. I'm going to search for pop. Here we go. That's closely resembling it. We'll try to see what that does. Let's do a soda real quick. Oops. So with this, I'm looking at its stats. So unhappy change, thirst. Alright, so yeah, we're going to drag from pop to, actually let's drag all three pops and the pop bottle instead of that water there. And we're going to take a look at the stats and see what closely fits ours. So unhappy change we want, thirst change we do. Custom eat sound, that's good to have, so we can replace that with the sound that we have. Okay, they're all pretty much the same, so we can delete the rest. Alright, we'll keep pop 1. Okay, so we need to add a few more things to this file to make sure it's good to go. So I'm going to refer to my older mod. Alright, so we want the top here. Now, module, this name is going to be the same as our mod ID, which is NUK. I'm going to keep it capitalized. I'm going to tab that over, add a space. There we go. So we can open and close this. We can open and close this part. We can open and close that part. So that tells us that this is functioning as it should. Now I'm going to take a minute to format this code to make it nice and neat. Just makes things easier. Now, it's up to you. I'm a little bit OCD. I like it nice and clean, just so it makes it so much easier to kind of troubleshoot any issues or accidental typos in this thing. The base game doesn't do it, or they probably do, but when it saves to text document, it erases the formatting, so just keep that in mind. Okay, so at the end there is no comma or anything, so just something to keep in the back of your mind there. Okay, so it looks good. Now we want to have imports base in here, especially if you're going to edit or pull things from the actual game. Before imports base wasn't really necessary. I could be wrong, but after build 4.1 I've been getting some issues and errors if I didn't have that in there, so we're going to keep that in there. Alright, so the item name, we're going to name it, oops, we're going to name it Nuka-Cola, and we're going to refer to that name a little later. Oops. Real quick to adjust this format here. So static model, that is something we're going to change. I haven't changed a static, well, actually, never mind. Static out model, I believe, is the model if it's on the floor. We'll look into that a little later, but the icon is something important because we're going to throw that in textures there. Alright, so I'm going to save this. We'll get back to it and edit it a little later. For sounds, let's go ahead and add our sound in here just to get that done. Now, we do have an MP3 format. We got to change that to OGG, so let's do that. We're going to load up Audacity. I'm going to drag our file in here. I'm going to play it. Alright, that's good. So I can't remember if it's supposed to be mono and one channel, but we're going to leave it exactly like it is and do a simple export to OGG. We're going to see if that works. If it doesn't work, we'll figure something out. I'm going to call this Nuka Drink Sound. Save it to the desktop. I'm going to remove that track title. I don't know what that stuff is, but we're going to remove all this stuff. Keep it clear just in case it kind of interferes with the mod. I doubt it will, but you never know. Actually, we'll minimize that just for now to ensure it's not screwed up. Okay, we're going to drag this to our sound folder here, and I'm going to verify. Okay, so we don't need any special underscores or anything right there, so what it sounds like is we're good to go on that part. Alright, the textures, we're going to work on the texture now. Alright, so let's open up Photoshop. So with an image that's completely darker from the background, it makes it easier to do what we're doing right here. So the item's going to be very small, so it's okay if there's a little imperfection like right here. I'm going to delete that. Alright, so we're going to go to image size. We're going to do 32 by 32. Okay, that works. Now, to make this image, we're going to blend it in a little bit, make it kind of blend with the game world a bit, and we're going to add a stroke on the outside of it. Let's mess around with these and see what we got. If it's anything that's better. Okay, we'll leave it like that. Alright, so let's go ahead and file save as. We're going to save it as PNG. And we're just going to name it capital ITEM underscore Nuka Cola. We're going to save it to our desktop for now. Okay, I'm going to minimize this in case I got to go back to it. Okay, so let's go review this in large image. Now, this is kind of what the item's going to look like on the floor, and you can kind of make it out what it looks like. It's not that blurry because we had it exploded, like a huge view. So it actually looks pretty decent with the little work we did. So that's good to go there. Okay, so we've got our sound in here. We've got a texture, scripts. We still got to work with our Lua, but let's get back to the item here and start working with that. All right, so our icon here is always good to have notes or something to refer to. So I'm going to refer to an old mod of mine just to make sure I'm on the right track. Okay, so for the icon, it could be simply Nuka Cola, exactly how it is. Okay, and in the textures, remember, it's got to have item underscore. Now in here, it does not have to have item underscore. Nuka Cola will be fine. The game is automatically going to go into textures and pull it through and use it. So the display name, this is what it's going to display as in game. And our custom eat sound, we're going to right click, rename, select copy. I'm going to go back and paste it. Now we do not need the extension of .ogg in there, so we'll save it there, and that should work. Now the carbs and all that stuff, since we've pulled from soda and it's going to be relatively the same as a soda, we can keep them right now. If you want to fine tune them, you can definitely do that. Let's keep the static model and stuff there for now. Now this is technically not going to hydrate you, it's going to dehydrate you just a little bit, but it's a Nuka item. We're going to have it relatively rare, so we're going to do, you know what, let's just keep it at, yeah, we'll keep this here for now. We'll revisit that in a minute. Alright, so this looks good to go. Our sound is good to go, our icon is good to go. Now we definitely need to mess with the distributions. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into the Project Zomboid game folder again. I'm going to go to Lua, server, items, and distributions.lua. Now we're going to go in Lua, we're going to create our server. We're going to create another folder called items, and we're going to copy and paste that distributions.lua in there. I'm going to go back a bit, and I want to create a client here. And then I'm going to go to my old mod and pull that debug file so we can have it instantly added to our inventory. Now these files, you're going to name them custom names, not the same as what you would find in the directory. I'm going to name it Nuk Char Spawn, so Nuka Cola character spawn. Kind of gives you an idea of what that Lua is. I'm going to go to server, distributions, we're going to go NUK-distributions. Alright, that looks good to me. Now obviously if you keep it the same, it's just going to overwrite and cause issues, so that's why it's got to be important to rename things. Alright, now in here I'm going to verify that there's nothing I'm missing. Okay, it's the same. Now from here, we're going to work with where you can typically find a soda. So a convenience store and a fridge, yes. The freezer, no, soda's going to kind of explode. So we can remove that whole line. Now if you need to know exactly what to remove, you can minimize it, highlight it, and delete. Now soda, yeah, it could be on the shelf, so we'll leave it there. The warehouse, if you're having questions of whether it should be in there, just look at what spawns there already to give you an idea. I wouldn't throw it in there. I mean, some people may think the warehouse in the back of a convenience store is like a loading dock, and they typically have overfill of items there. So in theory, yes, you can add it here. However, looking at this is procedural stuff. So I don't mess with procedural stuff, so I'm going to get rid of that stuff. I'm actually glad I caught that. So I'm going to minimize it just so I don't accidentally remove things. There is a convenience store down there, so you're not deleting the only one. So what you want to save is something that looks like this. Yeah, we're not storing it in the freezer. We'll get rid of that. The fridge, that works. This is in a restaurant, so you can think that storing a soda in a fridge is maybe it's an employee fridge, or maybe the employee stored his drink there or something. The junk, let's just remove that. Now if you're not going to use it, remove it from here, because we want to minimize as much crap in here. It just keeps things clean. Not going to be in medical. The zip store, yeah, that's a good chance it could be there, because we've got pop, so that stays. That's a procedural thing, so it's going to store snacks. We're going to remove that. Magazine shelf, no. Okay, so I went ahead and removed all items that I don't want the Nuka-Cola to spawn in, but right now I'm actually going down and breaking everything down further. I'm pretty much removing all the bloat and only keeping one line there so I can replace it with the drink I have. Now this is going to take a few more minutes, and I'll explain why I'm doing this. Okay, so it took me about 10 minutes to do the whole file and get it down to this, but that was back-to-back editing. This is probably going to be the longest time you're going to take on something, but I removed all the extra options except for one line on each area, because if you want to spawn an object in, you do not want anything else to spawn in. We're simply adding to the distributions list. We don't want to add even more junk to it that is already in the game anyway. So that's why we're going to change these names and only add our stuff. Now in order to do that, to avoid any typos, I recommend going back to your item, highlighting, and press Ctrl+C to copy it. Go back here, press Ctrl+V to paste, and then we go back to the mod.info, Ctrl+C to copy, Ctrl+V to paste, and dot. So we do it this way because you do not want any typos in here, because you're going to have a hard time realizing that maybe just one little thing was a typo and it's going to mess up everything basically. So we're going to go ahead and replace everything with our item. Oops. And make sure you eliminate the base part. Yeah, so I'm not going to fast forward this part. This part will take real quick. It won't take too long. So yeah, the distributions file is really up to you. It depends on how often you want it to spawn in, and we're going to cover the roles and what that number means right next to it. Fill rand, I'm going to remove that completely. I got an idea what it is. I believe it's fill random or something, but I'm just going to remove that because that's still in the default distribution file itself. So we're going to press Ctrl+S to save, and we're going to look at this further just to verify everything is good to go. Alright, so first one, we got Burger Kitchen. In the fridge and the counter, there's a chance that this Nuka-Cola will spawn in. Now rolls 3 means it's going to go through this list 3 times, and the first time it's going to have a 6 chance of spawning in. This is 0 to 100. once it goes through it once, it's going to go through it 2 more times. So there's a chance that you can have 3 Nuka-Colas in this fridge. So for right now, we're going to name it 1, and we'll give it a 10 for now. Yeah, and we're going to do that to everything. And we're going to close it off after we verify it's good. Actually, no, you can leave it open. You can definitely close it off to kind of just so you don't have to keep looking at it and keep things formatted nicely. It may help you, but we're just going to keep it off for now. And these numbers are totally up to you. I'm possibly going to make a video on distributions and what these chances actually mean in a few tests, but it's going to be down the road. It's not going to happen immediately. So I'm going to have everything a roll of 1 with I believe a 10% chance for these to spawn in the container. And also, don't forget, we're going to briefly, really quick as we do this, make sure the formatting and all commas are where they need to be. If it is not, don't worry. We can get in the game, and if we have an error, then we'll look at the console, and that console will tell us what line there is a mess up on. So, I mean, you can go thorough right now. It'll save you time, or you could just move and keep working. Okay, so press Control S to save, and it looks like we are good to go. I'm not going to focus heavily on this. I'm just going to leave it like it is. Like I said before, there will be an error that shows if there's an issue. I think we are done. So we're going to go back to this here. We're going to type in true. And we're going to add our item in here. Press Control S to save. All right. Got to adjust there. All right, so I'm pretty sure this stuff here is not necessary. You know what? Yeah, I'm just going to remove that and see what happens. And let's remove that just for the hell of it. Okay, so it should still work. Now that's set. The distribution file we checked, it looks good. Let's go to Nuka-Cola. Alright, so this looks good. We told it the item name, the display name, the icon, the custom sound, ReplaceOnUse with an empty bottle, which we're probably gonna, yeah, let's go ahead and work on that real quick. So the empty version of that. Let's see if we can find a Nuka-Cola. Well, chances are when. Okay, let's make this easy. Let's just see what it looks like. I'm going to simulate an empty bottle here. It's probably not going to really work out, but we'll find out. All right, I'm going to select layer 1. There we go. I'm going to remove the brown from it. There we go. So the bottle looks a little bit more white. So we're going to see what that looks like. Let's save that as a PNG. Whoops. Okay. And we're going to drag that into our mod folder, wherever that folder went. Okay. Here it is. Okay, so we have a brown and we have a white. That actually kind of looks empty to me, so that looks pretty good. So that's a little trick there. So we don't need that. We don't need the extension. So theoretically, that should work. I haven't done that before, but we'll find out. Okay, so from this point, we are ready to drag this over to our mod folder and test the mod out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and boot up the game, and let's turn on the mod. Okay, so we're in the game now. We're going to hit OK, select mods. We're going to make sure everything is off that we do not need, and only our mod is on. Now I'm going to keep Necroforge on just to help with debugging. So we've got those two mods on, so let's go ahead and start a solo game. Well, typically what I do is I had a custom setting here for loot rarity to go completely abundant, and I changed a few settings here and there just to kind of help me get to that area as soon as possible. So I know that's probably not going to be something you guys have in mind, but setting it to loot abundant will give me an idea of how much those things will spawn in. Okay, so we're in. I don't see any errors, so that's a good thing. Okay, looks like that debugging script did not work, so we can get rid of that. Let me see if it spawns here. All right. All right, I actually found it. So here we go. We found it in game. We've got the icon that it works. We can see the display name works, and so far it looks pretty good. So let's get it to our inventory and test it. There we go. Okay, so we've drunk it and it played the sound. However, if you paid attention to the hand, the static model of that soda can showed. So let's do it again. Okay, so now that we drunk it, we could see that static model is a Pepsi can, which is not correct. And in our coding, it was supposed to replace this with an empty bottle, but it did not. So let's see what happens. Okay, so it looks like it's a infinite drink. Alright, so now we know we got a few things to take a look at. Let's drop it on the floor and see what the icon looks like. Okay, that's pretty doable. Let's check another type of floor. Okay, so I'm satisfied with the icon. Now the icon size, we can resize it a little bit, so we'll go ahead and take care of that now. Okay, so we went ahead and tested it. Now we're back at our menu, or computer, and I'm actually curious about the console, so there's a way to check that. I kind of messed that up there. Okay, let me leave that there. Let's go to Zomboid modding, go back one more. We'll go to user directory, and we can see console. So we'll open that up. Now I did not see any errors, but it's usually good to kind of check this for anything weird. And we're going to use stack trace, which is, this is something that tells us if there's an issue. Now looking at this, okay, so we didn't have an error appear on the bottom right, but this stack trace appeared, and as we can see, can't find item, Nuka-Cola empty. Okay, so I've got a feeling we need to add an item in there. I'll show you in a minute. And this whole bunch of code. So alright. So that we'll close that. So I'm going to delete what is in the mod folder and go back into our ongoing projects and edit it from here. We don't want to edit from here and have two different file locations, and it's just going to get confusing. So if we go back into this and take a look, we can see that we're still editing the same thing. If you want to exit out and open it again, that's always good to do as well. So alright, now it said it can't find the item of an empty Nuka-Cola, so I got a suspicion that we need to create it. I'm going to go to food items here. I'm going to search for empty. And I'm going to look at the pop bottle empty or something. Water pop bottle. Here we go. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to move this over in case I need it. Now right below this, I'm going to add a few spaces. Here we go. And then of course we're going to fill this up. Whoops, I deleted that. You got to be careful with that part. Now when we were drinking that, the sound was playing repeatedly of us opening up the top. So that's something we're going to have to look into. I'm not 100% about it right now, but I'm only going to focus on what I know works and what I can fix. So, okay. Oops. I'm going to name it Nuka-Cola bottle. Replace on the pleat. Replace on use on. Okay, so I believe this part here is pretty much saying that people can fill it up with water if they want. So we'll leave that in. And the icon, we're going to add this there. Alright, still the static model is pop bottle, so looks like we might have to do some 3D editing. We might be able to find a bottle in game to kind of save us some time on that, but we'll revisit that in a little bit. Okay, alright, so the weight of this bottle is 0.3, but the empty bottle is 0.8, so that's something to keep in mind. Obviously, if there's no fluids in there, it's going to weigh less. Okay, so we're not going to get too far ahead of ourselves. We're going to save it like it is right now. And this little guy, it just doesn't work, so I guess we're going to remove it. And then we're going to remove that client folder. I'll look into that a little later. Chances are that this doesn't work for build 4.1 anymore, so I'm not going to mess with it because I can easily just navigate to where I believe it's going to spawn. Okay, so it looks like everything here is fine. Alright, we're gonna do a search for static model, and instead of Notepad, I'm going to open this up in code. And we're going to see what kind of static models we have to work with. Bunch of can opens, can closed. Okay, as you can see, I haven't done this stuff before, so you're kind of learning how I troubleshoot and fix issues. Hopefully it'll give you an idea. Okay. We'll use water bottle as a better alternative than the pop can. So we're going to replace that right now, but we're going to still look and see if there's something else that could fit it better. Ooh. Pop bottle. Let's just do that instead. I'm going to save that and continue. Whiskey bottle actually might be a closer fit because it's actually glass. But we're gonna run through and double check real quick. What? Red wine bottle might be a better fit too. But you know what? We'll keep it as pop bottle for now, and once we're in game, we will spawn those objects and just kind of see how they look and relate. Alright, so I only found pop bottle as our best alternative for a static model. We're going to check it out and we're going to see if it works. We'll see how it works. And we'll spawn in some other alternatives and see what they look like, and maybe that can be a better substitute. We're going to try those first to prevent us from doing a 3D model, but if we have to do a 3D model, then I'll just have to suck it up and do it. So, alright, looks like we're ready to move this over and try again. Alright, so we're back in the game. We're going to go ahead and verify really quick that it's still on, and it is. We're going to go to solo and start a new game. We're not going to continue off of what we did before, only because the area we were in, it may not spawn there. It could mess things up. Okay, let's go ahead and find this thing. Okay, I got a feeling the bar will be our best bet. Remember, the spawn chances are low, so just keep that in mind. If it's not spawning at all, maybe it's just too low. That's usually what I like to do, is just jack up the spawn chance, just so I can immediately get it and try it. Alright, let me go outside. So let's see what happens. Okay, so we changed the static model, and that works. And we went ahead and drunk the bottle. It is now an empty bottle, so that's good. And we should be able to refill that up with water. And as you can see, the display name changed as well. Yeah, let's turn these lights on. Okay, so I don't think we can actually refill that bottle. That's something we can look at. It's not going to be a huge priority, as we want to focus on making this initially work, and down the road we can actually update this mod to make it work. But okay, so that's no problem. Let's bring it into our inventory again and take another drink. Okay, so we drank half of it. To drink half again, and as you can see, well, I guess the bottle cap noise can stay, because if you only drink half or a fourth, realistically you're going to put the cap back on. So I think that's a happy medium there. It's kind of like a poor excuse to not try and figure out other things, but that's okay. I mean, we'll take a quick small win while we're here. So right now I'm going to grab the bourbon bottle and the wine bottle, and let's see if I can spawn in a whiskey bottle. Okay, now the point to this, I guess it's bourbon. The point to this is I want to see what those static models look like, to see if it closely resembles our drink. Okay, so that's a blatant obvious wine bottle there, so we won't use that. Let's try this. And same thing for this as well. Alright. So now that we know, we're going to have to make a 3D model of this thing. So let's look into that and see what we can do. Okay, so I just finished a little more thorough, in-depth test of everything, and I found that since everything should be spawning abundantly, Nuka-Cola was still kind of rare for our abundancy. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust the roles on some of these things, so hopefully this thing can actually spawn in well. So Burger Kitchen, let's go. We'll do a find replace all for all the number ones. Oh wait, that's probably not a smart idea. Okay, let's do a find replace all for all the 10s. There we go. And we can adjust that to, let's say 20. Well, yeah, we'll do 20. Maybe not. Okay, we'll do 20. Screw it. Alright. So that's something to keep in mind. If we're going to do a find and replace all for the ones, we got to make sure we don't accidentally change something we don't need changing. So we're going to change it 1 to 2 roles. Okay, so everything has a chance of rolling twice. We're going to put that back to 1. We're going to go back to 20 and adjust that to 10. And that's just a quick way of fixing everything instead of just doing it line by line, which will take longer. Okay, so that increases the spawn chance of things. I think that's a good way to stop for now on messing with this thing, so we don't have to go back and forth over and over and over again. We'll just release this and hopefully we'll get some good results. So from here we are ready to start actually putting this into the Steam Workshop. So in order to do that, I have a video on the PZ file structure and you can check that out. But regardless, we're going to do it again here, and you can skip out on that video and actually watch it here. So I made those changes and adjustments to the ongoing projects folder and not the one that's in here. So just remember not to edit the wrong one. So we're going to go to Workshop mods. Oh, I lied. We're actually going to go to user directory, Workshop, and here is where it's got to be. So I have Blackbeard's weapons already in here. I'm going to extract this because it already has everything I need. So I'm going to rename this to Nuka-Cola. And here we're going to add preview. So we got to make a new preview poster. I just remembered the dimensions of the workshop are a little bit different. So let's go ahead and fix that. I'm kind of feeling a little lazy, so let's just bring that in here. Okay, we're going to go to image size, and I forgot what the sizes were. 1 second. Alright, 256 by 256. So let's go in here and resize it to that. Now this may, and it does, it looks a little weird. So I'm going to cancel that and try and trim it down a little bit. Really? This thing's a pain in the ass. Okay, so that's a common error with Photoshop. It's I'm gonna open this up in Paint. There we go. We're going to resize this to, actually, let's back up 1. Let's try it again. So what I'm trying to do is not make it too messed up or too overstretched to where it looks bad. So there we go. There is our preview image. save this to our desktop. Don't care about the transparency because there is none. And let's open this up in code. Alright, so it's going to have to be named preview.png, so keep that in mind. Just going to simply do a rename, Control-C to copy that. I'm going to open up desktop. I'm going to drag this in here, and we're going to rename that to preview. There we go. Now, I'm probably going to write some text on here, but you know how to do that, so I'm not going to record myself doing it. That's kind of stupid. But we are going to finish up this document. Okay, there we go. So workshop, the ID we're going to leave blank because there is no ID to it. I'm going to name it Nuka-Cola. Category as drinks and public. I'm going to save that. I'm going to go into content, and from here we're going to see mods and then Blackbeard's weapons. We're going to delete Blackbeard's weapons and drag our finished item over to here. So if you didn't see the file structure video, this is how it should work for the workshop. You have a folder with your mod name. Inside you've got contents, preview, and workshop. Inside contents you're going to have mods, and inside mods is your actual folder and everything else that follows. Okay, so from here we are good to go. I'm going to pause the video again. I'm just going to make some nice graphics of the preview and of the Steam image, and then we'll get back and start uploading this. Okay, so I went ahead and made these things nice and pretty. So I downloaded the Overseer font, which is used in Fallout, and I added some text just to make it a little nice. Okay, so we are ready to go to start an upload of this, and in order to do that, just make sure your file structure is intact and ready to go, and we can start the game and we can upload it from there. Okay, now that we're in game, we're going to select Workshop and create and update items. I'm going to select Nuka-Cola, and in here what I recommend is to just leave it blank, but we're going to turn it to private for right now. I'm going to select next. I'm going to select new item and upload. Okay, so now it's done. We can exit out of the game. Now we're going to go to our workshop page. Okay, now that Steam is finally back online, let's go ahead and check out what we've uploaded. Okay, so looks like this thing is working. So here's where we're gonna go over a little bit on some tips to make your Steam page a little better. Okay, quick note, I'm gonna make a dedicated video on optimizing your Steam Workshop setup with images and the works and everything. I didn't want to go cover it in the video. It's just going to take an extra long time, and it's just unnecessary time at this moment for this video, so be sure to be on the lookout, and let's continue. Okay, so now I filled out everything on the Steam Workshop form, so I've added a couple of pictures and a video, just some content for people to look at. And down here there is a few things about the mod, as well as the mod info that you definitely need to have here. That's definitely something I would say a must-have on all the mods. Now it should automatically include this, but if not, just make sure you add it in there. But other than this, I am going to go ahead and work on uploading the video you're watching now, and once that video is up, I'm going to make this visibility public, and you should be able to go ahead and download it and check out the files yourself. Thanks for watching. If you've got any questions, please post them up. I'll do the best I can to answer them. But yeah, stay tuned for that next 3D model video where we're going to actually work on the bottle itself.